Welcome to Soft Feminine. I never thought a single vial could change my life so drastically. It was supposed to be harmless, just a fun experiment, my friend had said. A new serum, called the Girl Serum, claimed it could temporarily alter physical features for a realistic feminine look. It sounded absurd, and I laughed at first. Me? Taking this? But curiosity got the better of me. One late night, alone in my apartment, I stared at the small vial, the pale pink liquid shimmering under the fluorescent light. My hands shook. Just a drop, I whispered to myself. It's just for fun. The moment it touched my tongue, the world didn't change. At first, nothing. Then, a strange warmth spread from my chest outward. My heart pounded in rhythm with a tingling that ran down my arms. My skin felt different, softer, more sensitive. I stumbled toward the mirror, and the shock hit like a lightning bolt. My reflection wasn't mine anymore. My jawline had softened, my cheekbones subtly higher, my lips fuller. My eyes were wider, framed with long lashes I had never had. Even my hair felt silkier, lighter around my shoulders. What's happening to me? I whispered, my voice trembling. I pinched my cheeks, thinking it was a hallucination. But the reflection didn't flinch, it stared back at me, unfamiliar yet thrillingly familiar. My mind raced, a mix of panic and fascination. Every nerve in my body screamed, "This is not you." But a quiet, insistent voice whispered, "Or maybe this is who you were meant to see." I staggered backward, nearly knocking over the vial. My hands flew to my chest, feeling subtle changes in contour, in shape, in posture. The boy I had always known, confident in his masculinity, was slipping away. In his place, a girl looked back at me, trembling, wide-eyed, electric with something I didn't yet understand. And then, somewhere deep inside, a terrifying, exhilarating thought surfaced. What if I don't want to go back? The morning after taking the serum, I woke up to a world that felt simultaneously familiar and utterly foreign. Sunlight filtered through my curtains, painting the room in a warm glow, but my own reflection in the bedside mirror made me freeze. I blinked, pinched my cheeks, even tugged lightly at my hair. Nothing changed. My skin was undeniably softer, my jawline more delicate, my lips plump in a way that sent a strange shiver down my spine. Even the curve of my shoulders seemed subtly altered, and when I stretched, my posture felt instinctively different. Panic gripped me. Oh God, this isn't temporary yet, or is it? My chest tightened as I tried to breathe normally, but every motion reminded me that I was not exactly myself. I got dressed, clumsily tugging on a t-shirt and sweatpants, feeling the new contours of my body with every movement. I kept checking my reflection in the mirror, the phone screen, even in the glossy finish of my desk. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a trick of the light. The serum had done exactly what it promised, and then some. Downstairs, my mom was making breakfast. She hummed softly, but the way her eyes flicked toward me sent a wave of anxiety through my body. "You seem quiet this morning," she said casually, though her tone carried the slightest note of concern. "Yeah, just didn't sleep well," I mumbled, avoiding her gaze. My voice sounded the same, but in my chest, it felt heavier, somehow altered by the changes I could see in the mirror. At work, or school, depending on the audience you want, every interaction became a minefield. My colleagues noticed subtle changes immediately, the way a new hairstyle or makeup would catch attention. "Dude, you look different today," Arif whispered, leaning closer than usual, a mixture of curiosity and disbelief on his face. "Is it, like, a new haircut?" I swallowed hard, running a hand through my hair, suddenly aware of the silky strands brushing my fingers. Yeah, something like that," I stammered. My throat felt tight, my heart hammering. Every glance, every whisper made me hyper-aware of myself. A girl in my class, or co-worker, smiled at me, glanced quickly, then looked away. My chest constricted, and my stomach churned. Were they noticing me? Or just imagining it? Even the bus ride home was unbearable. Windows became mirrors. Strangers' eyes lingered on me slightly longer than usual. The world seemed to notice the subtle feminization in ways I hadn't anticipated. Every compliment, every look, sent a jolt of embarrassment and thrill through me. "Here, miss," a woman offered politely, gesturing to a seat. "Miss." The single word slammed into me, a mixture of panic and inexplicable pleasure. I sat down, gripping my bag tightly, feeling like a stranger in my own body. My reflection in the glass showed a girl I didn't fully recognize, yet a part of me, deep inside, longed to explore her, to live as her, at least a little. By the time I reached home, I felt like I had run a marathon in my mind and body. Anxiety, fascination, fear, and curiosity all tangled into one tight knot in my chest. My roommate Armon, the one who had orchestrated this, was casually sitting on the couch, smirking. "Not freaking out yet?" he asked, teasing. I don't even know what to feel," I admitted, my voice barely audible. I wanted to yell, to cry, to laugh, everything at once. But underneath the chaos, a small, undeniable thrill pulsed. This is me. Or at least, a version of me that's been waiting. And as I stood in my room later that evening, staring at the reflection in the mirror, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating. I might not want to go back to being just me. That night, the apartment was silent. Every creak of the floorboards, every distant car passing by, made my heart pound like a drum. I had a choice: stay in the safety of my old self, or explore the version of me the serum had revealed. Curiosity won. Slowly, I tiptoed into my roommate's room. Armon had left the vial out again, along with some extra makeup he claimed would enhance the effect. My hands trembled as I picked up the lip gloss, the mascara, the small brushes neatly lined on his desk. The scent of the products, sweet, floral, intoxicating, hit me instantly. I glanced at the mirror. The girl staring back at me was the same one from earlier, but this time, I wanted to see her fully. My hands shook as I removed my shirt and pants, feeling my body now fully unfamiliar in its softness, the contours subtly altered. I started with my hair, running my fingers through the silky strands, marveling at how they fell naturally around my face. My reflection seemed to watch me, curious, inviting. Then came the makeup. Lip balm first, smooth, glossy, intoxicating. Then kajal, tracing my eyes in careful strokes, each line transforming my gaze. I practiced blinking, moving my eyes slowly, watching the reflection respond. Next, mascara. I had no experience, but somehow my hands found the rhythm. One stroke, two strokes, and suddenly my eyes seemed wider, more expressive. I leaned closer, tracing the subtle curve of my cheeks with my fingers, noticing every detail. Then I tried my voice. Softening, adjusting pitch, letting it rise and fall naturally. I spoke aloud, experimenting with small phrases, watching the reflection tilt her head, lips moving differently, shoulders shifting lightly. Each sound, each motion, sent shivers down my spine. I moved around the room, tentative at first, adjusting my weight, noticing how a small shift of the hips or a tilt of the head altered everything. Standing, sitting, even the way I crossed my legs, every motion felt electric, thrilling, and terrifying all at once. Hours passed without notice. I practiced small smiles, tilts, expressions, watching her evolve in the mirror. The thrill of discovery mixed with fear that I would get caught, that I might be trapped in this new body, that I might never go back. But beneath the fear, a quiet, insistent joy grew. This is who I can be. This is who I want to explore. At one point, I caught my own breath, watching the reflection, mesmerized. I whispered, almost in awe, "Is this me?" The girl in the mirror didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her wide eyes, flushed cheeks, and trembling hands said everything. I realized then that I wasn't just trying on a new appearance. I was stepping into a hidden part of myself I had never dared to explore. Every touch, every movement, every glance in the mirror was a revelation. When I finally changed back into my old clothes and hid the vial and makeup, my hands still shook, my heart raced, but my mind refused to quiet down. One thought kept pulsing over and over. If this feels this real in private, what would it feel like to step outside? For the first time in my life, I wasn't just curious about transformation. I was desperate to explore it, to live it, even if just for a few hours, even if it terrified me. And in that quiet, electric night, I made an unspoken promise to myself. I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I told myself it would only be a short walk. Just a tiny experiment. Nothing daring. But as I slipped into the soft kurti, leggings, and simple sandals, the apartment suddenly felt heavier, almost suffocating. Every movement of my body reminded me that I wasn't entirely myself anymore. My shoulders, my hips, even the way I carried my weight had subtly changed. My hands trembled as I approached the door. "You can still turn back," a voice in my head warned. "If not now, then when?" whispered another, firmer, almost commanding voice. I gripped the doorknob and stepped outside. The sunlight hit differently. Bright, exposing, revealing. Every sound seemed magnified, the distant roar of traffic, birds calling, leaves rustling against the pavement. I adjusted my dupatta nervously, aware of the sway of my arms, the subtle tilt of my head. Each step felt electric, every motion observed. At the corner shop, my pulse hammered in my throat. I pretended to browse the shelves, but my hands shook, my heart racing. Then the shopkeeper said casually, "Madam, do you need a bag?" Madam. The word slammed into me, a heady mix of panic and excitement. My throat tightened. "Yes, please," I whispered, almost too softly. My fingers grazed the bag he handed me, and I couldn't stop the shiver that ran through me. Walking home, I realized that fear hadn't vanished. It was still there, buzzing under my skin like a live wire. But alongside it was something I had never felt before: confidence. Tiny, fragile, almost shy, but undeniable. I had survived the outside world, and it hadn't crushed me. Over the next few days, I pushed myself further. A longer walk, a quiet cafe where nobody knew me, a bus ride across town. Each small step built courage. A woman complimented my earrings, a cashier smiled warmly at me. Each interaction stitched a small piece of confidence into the nervous, trembling fabric of my new identity. I began noticing details that had previously escaped me: the sway of my hair in the breeze, the softness of my hands, the way my eyes caught the sunlight. Even simple things like adjusting my posture, smiling slightly, or tilting my head seemed to carry weight. Small, delicate gestures that made me feel alive. One evening, my mom watched me lace my sandals by the door. She didn't question, didn't judge. She simply said, "Take your shawl, it might get cold." No lecture. No panic. Just care. That simple act, mundane to anyone else, grounded me. For the first time, I realized I wasn't sneaking anymore. I wasn't pretending. I wasn't hiding behind a facade of fear. I was finally becoming. And as I walked down the street that evening, the cool breeze brushing my hair, I caught my reflection in a shop window. The girl staring back at me was hesitant, yes, but radiant. Alive. Electric with possibility. I was no longer just a victim of the serum or a participant in a prank. I was discovering something deeper, something I had always been too afraid to admit. That part of me had been waiting, quietly, patiently, for this exact moment. And now, there was no turning back. The tension had been building quietly for days, simmering beneath every glance, every whisper, every subtle stare. But it finally erupted one afternoon, completely unannounced. I was in my room, halfway dressed, partly in her clothes, partly still in my old ones, trembling as I traced my fingers along the curve of my cheeks in the mirror. My heart raced. I could hear every distant sound outside my door, the neighbors chatting, cars passing, footsteps in the hallway. Then, a knock. Not soft. Not casual. Firm. Insistent. "Can we talk?" my mom's voice called from outside. My stomach dropped. "Why yes," I whispered. She stepped in, closing the door behind her. Her eyes scanned me, my curty, the subtle makeup, the way I perched on the edge of the bed like a frightened animal, and I braced myself for judgment, for panic. But she didn't flinch. She didn't gasp. "Your aunt saw you today," she said gently. I froze. "Anne?" "And she asked questions I couldn't answer for you," she continued, her voice soft but steady. Silence filled the room. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. "Are you hiding?" she asked finally, "or are you becoming?" The words hit harder than any accusation could. My throat tightened. I swallowed, searching for words, for excuses, for something. I don't know how to do this publicly yet," I admitted, voice trembling. Her gaze softened. "People will talk, of course. But I need to know, if everyone found out tomorrow, would you go back?" Images flashed through my mind, the shopkeeper calling me madam, the bus ride where strangers' eyes lingered, the thrill of walking freely in her clothes. The reflection in every window, every mirror, haunted me. No, I whispered, barely audible. I don't think I could. Her hand found mine, warm and grounding. Then stop living halfway, she said softly. That's the most painful place to exist. Tears pricked my eyes. I'm scared, I admitted. So am I, she said honestly. But I'd rather be scared with you than watch you disappear. I sank onto the bed, trembling, heart hammering. That night, lying awake, her words replayed in my mind like a mantra. Stop living halfway. For the first time, I wasn't hiding from the truth. I wasn't pretending. I was ready to step fully into the new identity that had terrified and exhilarated me in equal measure. The choice was mine: retreat into the comfort of who I had always been, or embrace who I could be. And deep down, I knew there was only one answer. The next morning felt lighter than any morning I could remember. Fear still lingered, a quiet hum beneath my skin, but it no longer controlled me. I could breathe. I could move. I could be. I dressed deliberately. A soft pastel kurti, leggings, and sandals. Nothing flashy, nothing apologetic. I adjusted my dupatta in front of the mirror and realized, for the first time, that I wasn't looking for approval. I was looking at myself, and for the first time, I liked what I saw. Downstairs, my mom glanced up as I entered the kitchen. Her eyes swept over me, taking in the outfit, the subtle makeup, and the calm in my posture. I braced for judgment, for panic, but she only smiled. You look comfortable, she said. I feel comfortable, I replied, and meant it. We went out together that day, side by side, like we always had. But something had changed. I wasn't shrinking, hiding, or pretending anymore. People stayed, some whispered. A few smiled. My mom walked calmly beside me, laughed with me, treated me the same as always, only now with quiet relief shining in her eyes. At one shop, the cashier complimented my earrings. Your daughter is very graceful. My mom didn't correct her. She simply nodded. Something inside me cracked open, and healed at the same time. Later, alone in my room, I sat on the bed and reflected. All those years I had folded myself into someone I wasn't, pretending, hiding, fearful of being different. I realized bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. I wasn't becoming someone else. I was finally allowing myself to exist, fully, openly, unapologetically. Over the next few weeks, I began taking longer walks, visiting new places, even meeting people I would never have dared to meet before. Each interaction, each reflection, reinforced something I had been avoiding for years: that this version of me, soft, feminine, confident, wasn't wrong. It was real. And the most surprising part? The love around me didn't vanish. My mom, friends, even strangers, they responded to me, not the persona I had been hiding behind. It was liberating. For the first time, I felt whole. Not just in my body, but in my mind, my heart, my spirit. And as I looked in the mirror that night, brushing my hair, adjusting the folds of my kurti, I realized something I had never dared admit. This is me. All of me. And I am enough. For years, I thought being myself would mean losing everything: family, friends, even my place in the world. But what I discovered is the opposite. The only thing I lost was the version of myself that had been hiding all along. I didn't become someone new overnight. I became the person I had always been, quietly waiting for permission to breathe, to move, to exist. And when I finally stepped into the light, I realized something powerful. Love doesn't vanish when you live honestly. It changes, it grows, it becomes real. If you're watching this, feeling the same fear and longing, know this: you are not broken. You are not too late. You are not alone. Sometimes, becoming yourself isn't about rebellion, it's about coming home.